Hello, welcome back. We're going to spend the next few minutes today talking about why we're never satisfied. Why it is that no matter how much we achieve here in the world, which, depending on your circumstances, may be quite a lot, really. I don't know, it may be. But no matter how much we achieve, how much we accomplish here in the world, we're never satisfied. It's never enough. That's what we're going to focus on. And we'll be doing it in light of Chapter 8, Section 8 of the text of A Course in Miracles. Now, this section is entitled The Body as a Means or an End. So we're going to say some more about that in the next few minutes. And if you're saying, what body? Exactly. What you see before you is a pixelated image on your screen. It is nothing more than that. What you see before you when you look in the mirror is just a reflection. It's not you, nor is the object that stares into the mirror you. This sack of guts and bones that's 80% water is not the Son of God. And let's all be happy, very happy, that that is so. And when you encounter teachings such as these, when you encounter A Course in Miracles for the first time, it's entirely possible that you'll listen to a conversation such as this one and say to yourself, what the actual is going on? What is this? I'm not a body. What? There is no world. Huh? Exactly. Here's the reason we're drawn to this material, and you could say the same about any spiritual tradition. You know that we're not a body. You know who you are. You know what you are, and you know where you are. We all do deep down. And it comes across for us here in the world in many ways in our own experience. We may have been deeply consciously aware and wide awake for a revelatory experience or some kind of aha moment where we started out on the spiritual path, or you could have simply been unconsciously, subconsciously drawn to it. Deep down, we all know that there's more to it than simply this image on your screen, the image that you see when you look in the mirror. There's more to it than that. And this highly finite thing that clearly doesn't last forever. It's not eternal. Haha, right? And most of us won't even live to be 100 years of age. And sometimes, as we all know, it's a lot less than that. That's not eternal. It's not the Son of God. And we deep down know it. That's what is exactly what has us on this thing that we call the spiritual path in the first place, a journey, so to speak. Now, I add the so to speak because we're not going anywhere. We've never left our source. Ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker, and you are the thought of God. Amen. The end, period. Mic drop. Where are you? Who are you? What are you? You know. You do. We all know, and that's why we're here. That's why you're interested in this series of videos amidst all of the content on social media, which is a lot. There's a reason why you're watching this particular channel today. So if I haven't said what you need to hear yet today, I'm going to. Stick around. There's a reason you're watching. There always is. So when we're looking at the body as a means or an end, and again, back to the title, why we're never satisfied, it appears while we appear to be here as an individual human being, a self-sustaining survival unit. Yes, I'm fond of that phrase. So appropriate when we're talking about the ego, isn't it? That we think that this is us. While we appear to be here, we appear to alternate between health and sickness in a wild roller coaster ride, and it is wild. It's a yo-yo. It's a back and forth kind of situation, isn't it? While we appear to be here, taking the physical body for who we really are, and taking this chain of events that appears to take place in the world as life. When we take all of this as real, we have moments, and then we have moments. We have beautiful, loving, joyous moments, and then we have not so joyous moments in a wild alternation between the two. Sometimes you're feeling absolutely boundless, joyous, and then you come crashing back down the next second. It's exhausting. If you're exhausted by this constant push and pull of the highs and the lows, that makes perfect sense. It's exhausting. So we seem to be torn between two worlds: health, sickness, healing, sickness, more of the same. Well, we seem to be really, really caught in between these two. Yet we know deep down that one of these two things is not real at all. And we know this. What we refer to here in A Course in Miracles, and what other spiritual traditions, such as Buddhism, for example, refer to as the ego, is a simple mistake. It's nothing. Yet we continue to adhere to nothing. We continue to side with nothing and defend nothing, frantically, to the death even. We defend nothing to the end of the communication mechanism right here, even. I mean, there are plenty of people that would rather die than forgive. Truly. It's true. You probably know some of them. I certainly have known many of them in my 51 years appearing to be this. I mean, by the time one reaches what we refer to in this world as middle age, you've met all kinds of people that would rather be right than happy. They would rather fester in their righteous indignation than mend a relationship. All kinds of examples. There are all kinds of examples out there. So we appear to be torn. When we side with the ego, we're never going to be satisfied. Here's where the means and end discussion comes into play here. And we're only incidentally covering paragraphs 2 through 4 today of this section. There are many others, so we'll have further discussion of this. But the ego sees the body as an end. It sees it as the end-all, be-all. Of course it does. It sees this as you. 80% water, guts. They don't last forever. And while we appear to be here, sometimes they don't work properly either, do they? This is not the Son of God, but the ego sees it as everything. It sees the body as an end. So everything that it puts forth has this device as the end. So it has you go forth and seek to satisfy the end with endless pleasure, with sex, drugs, rock and roll, fancy booze, maybe. It has you on a pleasure-seeking gratification trip. Now, this may be gambling for some of you. It might be, right? Who knows, right? It's different for everybody. It may be multiple shopping sprees, maybe running up the credit card. Feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. That's what the ego says. Satisfy this thing. Satisfy it. Feed me, feed me. The ego sees the body as an end. So all of the means, then the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the gambling, the insatiable pleasure, the shopping spree, the maxing out your credit card, whatever that looks like in life, yeah? All those means justify the end of the pleasure and the creature comfort of this. So here's the thing. The body is not an end. It is nothing, just like the ego itself, like the entire world. The central teaching of A Course in Miracles is that there is no world. Jesus says that in here. That's how he describes the central teaching of A Course in Miracles. There is no world. So this is an illusion. It's a complete illusion. It's not an end. Now, we've seen in some previous videos here recently that the highest and best use we can put this thing to, the physical body, is as a communication device to extend love to the Son of God. First of all, in our mind, we choose to receive the love of God. We have a choice as to what we receive, don't we? Yes, we do. We receive the love of God, and we give as we've received. We extend love to the Son of God. Here in practice, that looks like our extending true forgiveness to the Son of God, sending love, giving love as we've received it. This is how we keep it. We give what we've received and we keep it in our mind. Giving it is how you keep it in your mind. Ego thinks completely differently. It's backwards. It hasn't satisfied you. And if you thought it had, you wouldn't be here. I mean, why watch this when you could watch something else, some other form of content to occupy your years until this goes bye-bye? Because it's finite. It's not you. It's not the Son of God. Because the body is not an end, when you gratify the ego's ends, its needs, you're never satisfied, are you? An addict takes one hit and wants another. We go shopping and we buy fancy clothes, but we want something more. Or we want a shiny tie to go with this expensive shirt that we just bought, for example. More. We're never satisfied, and we live in highly competitive economic systems, no matter where you are in the world, where we're encouraged to buy spend more. We're known by our governments as consumers instead of citizens, even. Really, truly. I would know. I live in the United States. Case in point, right? So wherever you find yourself in the world, when we satisfy the ego's desire, we're never satisfied. We get it and we want more. We're never satisfied. We're never at rest. We're never at peace. And peace is what we all want, or we wouldn't be here. We want, deep down, the peace of God. That's why you're interested in spirituality. You may characterize this any way you want, but this is why any of us takes any interest at all in this material. Because we want the peace of God, and we have heard the call of our inner teacher, and we've answered it. You're on what we call the path. Welcome. We have a choice in the present moment between the thought system of our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, or the ego. The ego that sees the body as an end, an end all be all, and is never satisfied because the body is not an end. There's no physical body. So the ego takes as its home a complete illusion, which makes sense. It's a complete illusion itself. So we run around in our vicious circle. Buddhism, it's called samsara, right? The wheel of suffering, of cyclic existence, where we repeat the same things over and over and over. Einstein's definition of insanity applies here. We want a different result, but we keep doing the same things because we keep identifying with the physical body, with the ego. It's not you. It's not you. Yet we continue to think it is, and we want to believe it is. So we give the ego our allegiance. We accord it all of the power that it appears to have over us, which is none, but we give it over. Such is the magnitude and the power of our choice in the present moment, that we can shut our eyes, in a manner of speaking, and run off into a dark corner and hide. Or we can choose to lift the veil and behold the face of Christ, see with the vision of Christ, see things as they really are, and go home, knowing that we've never left. So we can start by acknowledging that we've never left, and that we're simply going to listen to the voice of our inner teacher and allow truth to be just as it is. So it becomes then a question of what we want. Do you want the peace of God? Or do you want the ego? Do you want more excess activity and frustration? Frantic, overwhelmed, and, well, naturally overwhelmed when burdening yourself with so many illusions. What do you want? We're invited to ask this question. That's why I'm asking it right now. Anytime during the day that you remember to ask yourself, what is it that you truly want? Do you want the peace of God and nothing else? Because let me tell you something. What we really want is what we're going to see. Want sickness? You got it. Want healing? You got it. Want more excess activity and frustration, overwhelm, fatigue and despair? So be it. That's what you want. That's what you'll see. Want the peace of God? What will you then experience? Exactly. So along the way, resistance will arise. Count on it. Why? Because we're so conditioned to see this as us, this device that we could choose to put in the service of our inner teacher as a communication device, communicating the love of God, which we ourselves choose to receive and accept and extend. We can make that choice, but when we don't, we're going to experience more of the same, which is what we all wish to set aside. When you encounter resistance in your mind to this course, to these teachings, it's the ego talking. So simply know that and expect it to talk, because it has all kinds of ways to get our attention. Why? Because we've given it our attention. It appears to have power over us because we've given it power. It's nothing. We can take it back. So that's the invitation today, to take it back. We're never satisfied as long as we see ourselves as individual self-sustaining survival units. Side with the ego, you will never be satisfied. You'll always run in circles, and you'll always want more. Can't slow down. Truth might dawn. That statement that you just heard is the ego's call to so many of us. Can't slow down. Truth might dawn of itself with your acknowledging and accepting it, embracing it, allowing it to be just as it is, with a quiet mind. That's how we do it. It's very difficult to hear the voice for God, our inner teacher, when we're running around frantic. So with a quiet mind, we listen to our inner teacher's voice. With a quiet mind. I know you've got one breath. The next breath, if you don't, well, then you just took your breath, and now you're going to have another, we hope. So my point here is, all it takes to quiet the mind is a simple in and out breath, which I know you have time for. People often say in the world, I don't have time for spiritual practice. I've got so much other stuff going on, right? I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to do these workbook lessons. Yeah, of course you do. A highly beneficial meditation can be as short as one cycle of breath. What we do, we pay attention to an inhale, and we pay attention to the exhale. Just that. And while we do it, we just place our awareness on the act of this one breath, and we let our thoughts go. They'll be back. So we all have time to quiet our minds. And having meditated for one breath, I cordially invite you to meditate for the next breath, and the breath after that, and that, And that, you see where I'm going with this. We have only the present moment. The importance of this in spirituality cannot possibly be understated. It's why so many teachers in so many traditions talk about the present moment. It's what we've got. In this moment, we choose love or fear. We choose God or the ego. You choose truth or illusion, and the choice is yours to make. It's always yours to make. So let's choose the voice for God. Let's choose our inner teacher today. You'll be happy you did. All right. If you have questions or comments about any of this, please feel welcome to leave them. And I'm serious about this. Part of the reason that I've launched this channel in the first place is to create a safe space where we can discuss this course and everything that it brings up, which is, well, all of our stuff, and ask questions about A Course in Miracles and spirituality in general. So if you've got them, please feel welcome to leave them. And if you want to just pop in and say hello, you're more than welcome to do that too. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for your recent subscriptions. There've been a number of you in the last couple of weeks that have joined us. So I want to just take a moment and thank you and welcome you. If you haven't subscribed yet, by the way, the subscription arrow is here in the corner of your screen. I'd invite you to go ahead and click that and join us. What you'll see here are, well, some deep discussions. And why not? That's what we need, isn't it? Something that cuts right to the chase, that doesn't mess around. And want to wake up? Then I invite you to not only join us here, but I invite you to connect with your inner teacher and deepen your own practice. It is your commitment and dedication to practice that is the fundamentally most important offering you could ever make. So if I can be of any assistance to you along the way, please feel welcome to reach out here, and I will see you again here on the next video. Thank you, as always, for joining.